Okay, so this is faders and these are scenes. And the way you want to go through your script, because when you go to program your console, this is going to be what you're looking at. This exactly. Okay. I have Little Shrek here. Now, what I'm going to show you also is so this is an example of what I had you do yesterday for Shrek. I made this as a quick Excel. Channels on the left, what I used on verbs, and you can see kick, snare 1, snare 2, hi-hat, tom.
Yeah.
Basically what you did yesterday. In fact, the one you did yesterday had more information because it had the microphone type on it. So that's even better. The more information you can put in there, the better.
Okay, cool.
So I had reeds, French horn, trumpet, trombone. So when I'm looking here, I know what channel that Little Shrek is on. I can look here and say, okay, Little Shrek is channel. I can't remember, where is he at?
Channel 1, right?
No, he's Little Shrek. Yeah, he was like a little small character that was only on for a minute. So I gave him a really important mic. So it might have been these little pack 1, pack 7. So anyway, I assigned a pack, and I have a separate document talking about. What was I going to say? I have a second document telling me which transmitter, like which pack everyone has.
Okay, cool. And that's not on the doc. That's a separate doc that we make, right?
Right. I mean, you'll find what works for you and for what show.
Sure.
I like to create separate documentations for different things.
Yeah, for sure.
I go crazy with the documentation. That is, it's the key to success. So
yeah, exactly.
So let's get into it. So line 1 is Little Shrek. I'm going to use DCA number 1 that is controlling Little Shrek's input, which could be any one of these, Yeah. So DCA number 1 is routed to, let's say pack 1 here, but that's channel 34. So that DCA number 1 is controlling the volume for Little Shrek, pack number 1. But that fader is assigned to channel 34. DCA 1 is controlling input channel 34.
Yeah.
So that is the core idea of what we're about to do for every single line in the show. And if that doesn't seem like a lot, it really is.
It seems like a lot. Yeah. See, like that's my hesitation of like mixing shows is like all the paperwork ahead of time. It's like I just want to mix a show and not have to worry about the paperwork.
Yeah, totally. And I used to do that, but I used to mess up a lot. But,
yeah, exactly.
But as a mixer, you can't just mix, because the way you mix a musical is you're not creatively mixing. You're doing the utility part of putting up the microphone, putting down the microphone at the correct moment, right?
Yeah.
So that's basically what mixing is in musical theater, in its first way. There's in multiple ways, but in this first way. So. Okay, Little Shrek has his blah, 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 blah. My fader up before he speaks, right? And this is what line by line mixing is right here. So as soon as he's done speaking, I'm going to put the microphone down.
Okay.
So it's up before the line, and after the line, it's down.
Okay.
Then Mama will say something.
Yeah.
Mama has the next line in the script. So what's the first 2 lines of your script?
Well, they start singing. The urchins start singing.
So great. So when we lay out this, we want to have things in a place that it's going to feel natural to us, right? We want to minimize what's going to change. So we want to keep, if we have Shrek on stage the whole time, we're going to always want him on DCA number 1, because that's going to be closer to where our hand is.
Yeah, exactly.
Outer side, right?
Yeah.
Picture a bank of 8 faders. So Shrek's always going to be on my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And the next line is going to be the DCA following that. So I'm going to try to think about if Shrek is always, or Shrek or Little Shrek, a Shrek is on stage, it's going to be DCA number 1.
Okay.
So that you can start to say, okay, whenever I need to get Shrek, he's on DCA number 1. Muscle memory.
Yeah.
And then the next line that happens is Mama. The next line that happens is Papa. And then you go from, this is what it looks like. You go Shrek's line, put it down. Mama's line, put it down. And then you have to take your hand and move over to the third fader. Papa's line, put it up at the correct volume.
Mm-hmm.
Put it down, and then go to Fiona. Right? You get the point.
Yeah, exactly.
That's called line by line by line by line. Line by line mixing.
Okay.
That is a very, very common skill set that you can walk into an interview and say, I'm proficient at line by line mixing. And what that tells them is that I can throw the faders at the rate of the dialogue and not miss a moment of amplification.
I think it's important to know to have this paperwork ahead of time, so you know exactly what is happening, and what character is where on the board, and making sure you're ready when that character is speaking.
Right. I mean, how else are you gonna know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And how else are you gonna program if you only have 8 banks of faders and you're programming 8 lines or 8 people at a time in show? This is the document that will outline how to program your entire show. This document outlines how you get there. So in my first scene, I have Shrek on 1, Mama on 2, Papa on 3, Fiona on 4. Nothing on 5 because there's a big musical opening and nothing else happens. And 1, 2, 3, 4 are all down, and I'm just sitting, or I take the next scene. And I take the next scene, and the band is still playing.
Yeah.
When I take the next scene number 2, my DCAs all of a sudden change what they're controlling.
Yeah.
Shrek is now Big Shrek. So DCA number 1 is no longer controlling channel number 34.
Oh yeah.
It's now controlling number 17, Big Shrek.
Yeah.
So that assignment has changed between here, between these two scenes. So Shrek is still Shrek, but now the queen is Mama. But see, why did I pick Mama? Why do you think I picked Mama? Or, sorry, why do you think I picked DCA number 2 for queen? For 2 reasons. I got lucky. 1, it was the next line after Shrek started speaking in the scene number 2. And it was a female character that lined up with the first female character in scene number 1. I got lucky. I got lucky. So in moments where you're starting to see trends, this is how you methodically think about mixing a musical. Okay. Yeah. This person happens, and you're doing this all on your script. You're reading through your script, and you say first line is first line. You fill it in. Shrek. Who's got the next line? Mama. Who's got the next line? Papa. Who's got the next line? Fiona. And then a bunch of description and scene movement, scene change are going to happen, or music plays, or once the music starts, I usually start a new scene at the top of every song, and at the bottom, at the end of every song, and at the top. So I have a scene for the song, a scene for the scene, right?
Exactly.
And then if I need to subdivide further based off how long the scene is or how many people need to sing in the song and whatever I need, I might get more complicated. So Fiona is Fiona. Fiona just stayed on number 4. She just stayed on number 4 because she was already there, and she was going to be still on stage when I took the next scene. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so I switched scenes to get rid of Little Shrek, because Little Shrek was only on there for a moment. So, boom, he's gone. And I don't need him because he was only there, but his fader's still down. But now I can't use that fader no matter what. As long as this little scene happening, Little Shrek is still assigned to that fader. So if Big Shrek comes on, I have to switch a scene. Right? And that DCA number 1 is now switches its assignment to Shrek, and so forth to on. Notice how the band always stays in number 8 because you want your music on your right or your music on your left or whatever you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Handed, so I do things a bit backwards from everyone.
Yeah.
Donkey. When Donkey shows up, Donkey and Pinocchio are really not on the same. They're really not in the show at the same time. They're in the swamp in the next scene, the third scene, right? They go to the swamp where Shrek is. And blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And Pinocchio is taking up number 2, but the moment Donkey gets there, like Donkey owns DCA number 2.
Yeah.
And then like the King and Wolf, major principal characters will rotate.
Yeah.
We'll try to keep, Papa and the King and the Wolf. Those are all kind of like male characters. So you kind of try to create these trends where you can. It doesn't matter if it's for 2 or for 8 scenes. If you can create blocks of similarity and stuff that doesn't change, man, you're going to be able to mix like a pro, because when you're mixing a musical, there's no time to breathe. Because as you can probably figure out by now, I have to do 2 moves with my hands for every line that is spoken in a show. Because when you program your QL, you're going to put everything on 8 faders.
Yeah.
And that way you, won't have to move your hands very much. So like, you're going to miss stuff, and then you're going to get so frustrated where you're going to put the mics up just so you can hear just a little bit of everybody.
Yeah. And
do you know what happens when that happens?
No.
So say I have a mic and you have a mic. And they're are you familiar with like the little mics that like stick right?
Yeah.
So they're like omnidirectional mics, right? Which means they pick up sound in all directions. So
exactly.
What happens is if I get within like 3 feet of you and your microphone.
Oh, feedback, right? Yeah, feedback. Right?
No, it's not feedback. It's not feedback. What it is my microphone is picking up your voice when you're talking at me. Because you're throwing your voice in my direction, right? We're talking face to face. Say 2 people are singing and they're walking from each other. They're singing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
And they get so close, and you see this all the time in musicals. They get within like 5 or 6 feet, and then all of a sudden the sound goes. I sound like this.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sound like. And that's called comb filtering. You know what comb filtering is?
No.
So comb filtering is when you have 2 identical sources, aka my voice.
Yeah.
Sorry. I have a single source, my voice, being picked up through 2 microphones at different distances. Right? So this microphone is picking up my voice really first, right?
Yeah.
Because as sound travels, it travels out and goes like that. And we know it's pretty slow because we see the lightning crack before we hear the thunder. As my voice leaves, it picks up by my microphone, which is on my head. And if you're here, the distance is a lot, my microphone is going to sound normal up until your microphone starts to pick up my voice.
Yeah.
I have my microphone and your microphone picking up my one voice at 2 different times. And what that does for sound is it creates what's called comb filtering, where there's a cancellation of frequencies so much that it starts to really make you sound like this only when you've just moved closer to someone with another microphone at equal level. That's the most severe. Okay. So the reason we mix line by line is so that no one microphone is up at the same time. Eliminating this.
Yeah, exactly.
Eliminating it.
Yeah.
It's the only way to eliminate it. There's no auto mixer. There's no nothing. The only thing that can do it in the world, and this is why we'll always have jobs as long as there's musicals, is that you have to put the microphone up and down. And if that person is feeling so much different or singing a little bit more, singing a little bit less, as performers do. We as humans have to respond to that instantaneously.
Yeah.
And that is a very big challenge. So you take a show like Hamilton, where he has to make micro judgments, very small, quick, decisive judgments on where to put that fader. How do you think he knows where to put the fader every time for every line, if every line is spoken and sung differently in Hamilton?
Yeah.
How do you think what's your best guess for how a mixer knows where to put the fader?
I have no clue.
You have no clue?
Yeah.
So you see where on your script, you have a pencil?
Yeah.
So on your script, next to the first character spoken line, whatever your microphone number 1 is going to be, I want you to write the @ symbol.
Okay.
Really small next to the line itself.
Okay.
Or the name.
Yeah.
I want you to write -10.
Okay.
And then for the next one, I want you to write, the next line, I want you to write -9.
Okay.
And then the next character, write 0.
Okay.
The next one, write -4. For the next one, write +1.
Okay.
So what do you see here? You
so
see
it's yeah.
What you see is, well, sorry. What do you think those numbers are?
Levels? No?
Yeah, man. Those are the levels. Those are the levels. Those are the levels. And those are the levels of what, do you think?
The levels of that person's mic, right?
Right. And how do we control that person's mic?
With that fader?
With that fader, that DCA fader.
Yeah.
Because it's a remote control, right? So when you're making your script, you're writing these out so that you can do DCAs. Or so that you can, you know where the DCAs are, which person is on what DCA. You know what level that microphone needs to be at.
Okay.
Based off your script.
Yeah.
Right? And as you mix, guess what you have to do?
You have to make sure that's exactly, you have to make sure that's right? Like, you have to make sure that level is matching.
Exactly to the dB.
Okay. Yeah.
And you have to, in a very slow-mo version of what that looks like when you're like focused in, for me. My eyes, for one, are not on the show. I don't look at the stage, because if I look at the stage, I'm going to miss a line.
Exactly.
And based off our line by line, there's a lot to do to get a line heard, right? We go up.
Yeah.
So you have to put the fader up from being all the way down, put it up to plus whatever the mark is on your script.
Yeah.
5 or -1 or whatever it is. And then listen to the line. And then ask yourself, is that the correct volume? And you'll develop this instinct over time that will tell you, no, that's not right. Because if you consistently go to -1 and you're happy with that result, the next time you go to -1 and something sounds wrong, it wasn't you. It was them.
It was them. Yeah.
And so in that moment, you're knowing she either must be tired, he must be getting, something's wrong. Because 89 times out of 90, he's been doing it this way, but all of a sudden he's 1 dB under. This is how you know there's something wrong with your performance. And this is why you can never have a computer do this, because it doesn't make that split-second decision. Say something gets caught in the throat of someone and they sing 5 dB quieter. Well, in that moment, you go to your spot at which you're expecting them to talk the moment before they speak. It's too low. You have a split second to then get it up to whatever you think it's going to take to get it to where you expect it. And you make that level change instinctually. So by creating these documents and making these notes in your scripts, you're able to do that. So instead now of where you see the level you just wrote, above the name of the character, write the DCA number they are going to be on. So the full notation that I would do is something like this. I'll show you here. I'm going to say 1 at -5.
Okay. So basically the first one for me would be at -10, right? So it'd have that character at one at -10. DCA 1 at -10.
Or -5. And if you don't like -10, guess what you get to do? You get to change it to -9, and you get to change it to -8. But what you're doing, you're incrementally stepping up what you expected and what you're happy with. It's like what I would do is I would draw a line from the 5 with an arrow that runs directly, or a line that runs directly into the line that I'm reading. You know, so when I look at like this person is just about to be done speaking, the next thing I look at is the character, the DCA number, and the level, and then I throw the fader, and then I read the line with the character on stage, and then in the same breath, I mean, I'm even reciting the words as they sing it, because you'll learn where they're taking in air and where you have moments to make micro adjustments. Because if there's a moment where she's about to belt and she goes, and you know that she's going to belt, and you have to pull it down or else it's going to be like, whoa. You will run out of air at the same time she will, and you can make the adjustment. Because you know, you'll know inside your body when it comes in, and your finger can beat your breath. Is basically a physical thing, you know. So that's why you're completely exhausted by the time it's done. So when you do, you know, your script will end up looking like this, you know, right? So it looks like that. So you can see what you're supposed to do. Now, a pro tip would be to keep them close. Keep everything real close so that you're not
looking around.
I would always write like either real close to the name or real close to the thing. So you know, that is what this document is for, so that you can get an idea of when you're full and you fill all 7 and you still have that's when you need a new scene. Try to get rid of people like as entrances and exits happen. Like if someone comes on for a brief moment, has a conversation, and then a bunch of other stuff happens, then if you can afford to just keep their fader down, do it. That way you can focus on mixing. The less scene changes, the better. But also, if you need to free up stuff, don't be afraid to create a scene. If you haven't said, okay, I need a new scene yet, create a scene. And a scene at every song, create a scene at every moment of, like, in Shrek, I remember there was this moment, like, we'd go through, like, the first verse, the music, the chorus, second verse, chorus, and then there was, like, 15 village characters that would come out of nowhere, and they all have one piece. So, okay, I'm sitting there in the song. Now, I really don't want to create multiple scenes within a song unless I have to. This would be a great example of doing that. So I would create, you know, my main song, da 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 da. But if it's just Shrek and those 15 village characters, then I have to keep Shrek where he is, keep the band where it is, and then I have 6 faders to deal with the 15 people that are about to have a line. So how do you deal with that? So you deal with that by going, okay, the first 6 lines are going to be, you know, the first 6 lines of this little bit with all these characters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And on that 7th beat, you're going to hit your next scene. And put up DCA number 2, because that's the next person. You have Shrek on 1, carried over from the previous scene. You have Shrek on 1, and he will stay there. And then characters 7 through 15 of the major group are going to be 2 through 6.
2, yeah.
Right? Makes sense.
Yeah.
You just next scene, and you go in order. So you look like you're typing across your console.
Yeah.
You know, if it all goes smoothly, and you'll always be managing the band and your lead character, but you got all this crap in the middle, but you're never leaving this area. You're staying very concise and very boxed in, and that is that's good for speed. Yeah, I wanted to show you this because it's just I did this in maybe 2 days. It took me about an hour each act.
Yeah.
To think it, to kind of sit there and like, okay, like there's a scene here. And I really got a ruler and a pencil. And every time I wanted to create a scene, I drew a line across the script and said scene number. And then I would create the scene number there.
Yeah.
And then every time I see that scene number, I know I got to hit it.
Exactly, yeah.
And using like markers and colors only help you further. Because each DCA is the color of a rainbow. How about that?
Yeah.
Right? So every time you see red, you know that 1, that's Shrek, 2, that's number 1, and you can see color before you can read a text.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's all about speed and efficiency.
Yeah.
So when you want to mix a musical, these are the things you got to do.
Yeah.
Cool, man. I hope that helps. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, no, yeah. I started to grasp it all, but I think I will. I mean, I'll it's over. It's I think my tech teacher said next year she'll try to teach me how to mix. So hopefully this and that will help me too.
Mixing a musical is this. There is no other way.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's other ways to do it, but this is the way it's done on Broadway. This is the way it's done in professional sound for this application.
Yeah.
Look, what we do is so specialized. The people who mix sound is already small. It's a small world. It's a small world of people who do theater sound. The people who are theatrical mixers for musicals, this is a very, very, very specialized thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll teach you that in school for 1 day, and they won't cover it again. And then when you go to mix a musical, you're going to try to get a crash course in how to do this. And it's going to be, you're already going to have enough problems with feedback in general. This is the best way to alleviate any of that. And there's ways to practice this. There's ways to build in this muscle memory. Listening to the 2-track mix, listening to the original Broadway cast recording of a song. Yeah. With your script in front of you. And then I used to put quarters, but I used to put quarters up and down because the amount of pressure in mixing a show without messing up is astronomical.